Comm 101 public speaking quick tip 2. So, we're talking about different ways of putting your speech together, the different orders we can use. And the last one we looked at was chronological, which is the fallback pretty much everybody goes to. But now we're going to look at some other possibilities that are also very interesting. Spatial order is another way you can organize a speech. And in spatial order, you're following a directional pattern. So it depends on what your topic is, how you do it, but you're not necessarily following chronological order. You may be following different elements that make something up. You may be talking about different parts of something, or in the first one, when we talked about chronological, we talked about the history of Bonnaroo and the Bonnaroo Music Festival, right? We're going to use Bonnaroo again as a topic. So maybe I want to do a speech on Bonnaroo. I could do an informal, informational speech on the history of Bonnaroo. And it would follow a chronological pattern, and we'd see how things progressed over time, right? That's one way to do it, but it might be just as interesting to present it in spatial order, where instead of talking about Bonnaroo's progression over time, we talk about the wonders of Bonnaroo. Because Bonnaroo is a lot more than just a music festival. You've got the music festival part, but you also have the Bonnaroo Film Festival, and you have the Bonnaroo Art Festival, and you have a Bonnaroo Market. So there's actually 4 major areas within Bonnaroo. And so rather than talking about Bonnaroo over chronological time and how it has progressed and grown, because it started out as a music festival, instead of taking that route, I say, do you realize there are 4 different major areas in Bonnaroo? And you could go to Bonnaroo and not experience all 4 of them because there's so much to do. So let me tell you what you could do, and you could pick out what you want to do, go down there and have a heck of a time, and then go back the next year and experience a completely different part because there's so many things. There's the music festival, the art festival, the market, and I forgot what the other one was. The music festival, the art festival, oh, the film festival. And you could talk about those. See, I needed a speaking outline right there, and I wouldn't have bumbled that up. But you can see that you can present it as you have the music festival, and you can have sub parts to that because there's multiple stages, right? And then you could talk about the art festival and the artists that come in, and you have paintings and sculpture and all kinds of art. And then you could talk about the film festival and the release of new films, and maybe talk about 1 or 2 films that actually were released at Bonnaroo. And then you could talk about all the cool things that you can do at the market. And you actually, depending on how deep you want to dive, you could have 4 speeches right there, right? If you're talking 3-4 minute speeches, you might be able to talk about, hey, I want to tell you about, there's Bonnaroo's got 4 things, but I'm going to focus on one of them. And then you give another speech later and you focus on a different one. We have that kind of ability because of the way we approach orders. And those could be much more exciting or give you much different opportunities to capture your audience than the chronological progression of Bonnaroo that we talked about in the last quick tip. So think about all of these different orders. Different ones serve different purposes and may be more useful for you when you're getting ready to give your next speech.